Today's conversation is sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and you want to know about how we're helping other accredited investors keep more of their income, go to firstgencp.com/going long.
You're listening to the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels, the #1 podcast for long-distance real asset investing.
Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. And yes, I am your host, Billy Keels, and I am really looking forward to today's conversation. You know why? Because this single conversation and understanding this one concept is the single most important concept that allowed me personally to be able to leave corporate life in my 40s. Anyone who is an extremely busy, high-paid professional, you're really going to want to listen to this because I don't want you to have to wait a decade like I did if you can do it much faster. This is an episode or a conversation or a monologue that I believe is really going to help you because it's something that I was doing wrong for a while and I want you to get it right sooner. And you know what? We want to continue to celebrate you because our podcast together, we continue to move up the charts and we continue to be in the top 1.5% of podcasts, having continued more downloads, listened to over 30 different countries, and literally tens of thousands of downloads. So what I want to do is continue to share the spotlight. I want to put the spotlight on you because you continue to leave your honest written reviews as well as your ratings. If you haven't done that, go ahead and do it because I'm going to share it here in front of the world. So today I want to give a shout out to Dan number 10. And Dan number 10 says, great podcast. Billy's show does an excellent job of breaking down the key concepts required to build a business remotely. His strategic questions bring out the best in his guests, which makes for an informative and entertaining show. So thank you very much, Dan number 10. Really appreciate that. And yes, we like to believe it's a great podcast. And more importantly, because you continue to leave these types of honest written reviews as well as ratings, it is something that continues to bring other people. And hopefully today is another one of the monologues where we're really literally, I'm breaking down a key concept that's going to help you to be able to move forward much faster. And as I mentioned before, if you are an accredited investor, a busy, high-paid professional, you and your spouse are both really busy, or you by yourself are really busy, and you're spending a lot of time in your job and you continue to look for something else, this conversation or this one episode is something that is going to, in my opinion, help you to really understand that there is no one perfect vehicle out there for investing. It is the effective combination and understanding not of just your individual situation, also the different investment opportunities that exist. And I guess one of the reasons I want to share that is because as a kid growing up in a very blue collar family, a lot of these conversations you're not having at the dinner table. I know that I wasn't having them at the dinner table. We didn't talk about these different things. And so as I moved from a situation where we're moving from very blue collar into a situation where I myself became an accredited investor, I realized that a lot of the concepts and things that I'd learned growing up, because I always thought it was about chasing yield. Chasing yield means getting the biggest return possible. So when it was a 6% return versus a 10% return, I wanted to go for the 10% return because that was the way I was going to make more money. What I didn't understand were some of the key concepts such as risk-adjusted return. Like, am I taking the same type of risk to get 10% as I am to get a 6% return? Maybe not. I don't know. It's just the thing of when I became aware of that, then I started asking different questions. When you ask different questions, you get different answers. When you ask better questions, you get better answers, especially to understand your concept, your context. So with that, when I went away, I kind of felt like I was chasing yield, and it wasn't until I figured out this one formula that I realized, wow. And just to give you some context as well, as you know, I worked for 26 years in the corporate world. The last almost decade, I was working, 2 different jobs, working very busy, high demanding job in the enterprise software space where I was in the top talent program. I was a top achiever going to Hawaii every couple of years. So I was doing my job and I was excelling at a really high level. That's what those of us who are recovering perfectionists, A students, that's just what we do. That's what we kind of is in our DNA, and that's what we were taught, and that was what was reinforced. At the same time, what I also started realizing later was when I started getting in different rooms and being able to be exposed to and have access to different people with different mindsets and asking different questions, it really opened my mind. And the thing that I'm going to share with you is what allowed me literally in the last 3 years of my corporate career to recognize that, wow, this is the accelerator. This is the one thing that is different. And so the way that I think about it is when you're doing what I used to do, which is just simply chase yield, it is like understanding like, hey, listen, you've got your destination, you know where you're going, you're taking action. But the thing is you're taking action and instead of being pointed in the right direction, like you're pointed towards a wall. So you may be ready to go and you're pointing, but you're kind of hitting the wall. You're not hitting at full speed, but you're not advancing. It's being pointing towards hitting the wall or pointing towards the actual lane that you need to run in and being able to run in a very clear lane because you have a clear thought process and you understand what you need to do to train to be ready. That's the difference. Running into a wall a couple times, even though you're ready, prepared, or running down a clear lane. And see, the thing is that can be the problem. And if you're doing that, then you're not able to really gain traction because if you're hitting in a wall, you're not going as fast as you possibly could. And what I want for you is that you can go as fast as possible, as quickly as possible, that you don't have to spend a decade like I did, that you can spend less time. Or if you want to spend more time, you're spending more than a decade in your day job, but it's because you like it and you know that the things around you are already taken care of. So this is one of the things, and actually, you know what? It goes to one of the concepts that I used to hear at home all the time, which was, sometimes you pinch pennies to blow dollars. Now, depending on where you live in the world, that may make sense, that may not. But it's very similar. Pinch pennies and euro pennies, and you blow euros. Same kind of thing, right? But basically, what that means is you're getting what you need, but you're missing a much larger opportunity. And this is the thing that I want to share with you today, right? This one simple concept is what changed really life, because what this means is a lot of times I came into contact, as I started coming into contact with people that were thinking differently. And these were primarily people that were very wealthy people or people that had been second, third generation accredited investors is what I would look at them. But they're basically they were born into generational wealth and their job is to maintain and preserve that generational wealth, right? And so what I started understanding was, and this happened in a conversation, and this conversation was talking about me looking for a specific business opportunity or an investment opportunity. And I'm going to give you this example. I'm not giving you any type of advice. It's just an example, a real world example that hopefully will make sense for you. This was a time where I was looking to make an investment, and I'll change the numbers a little bit, but the percentages I'm going to leave the same. But let's say that I was making an investment, and this particular investment I was looking at, it was an investment that was going to provide a 6% yield. And so, which seemed really, really great for me at the time, because I was like, wow, I had money that was sitting in the bank. That money made me feel good, although I knew that was still not good because inflation was much higher than that. And so I was losing money. It was eroding in front of my face. But because of the way I grew up, I felt good because the money was sitting in the bank. It made me feel good. But I was looking to invest money at the time. Let's say I was looking to invest, just for this example, $200,000, right? And it was $200,000 and it was a 6% return. And that 6% return, like if you think about it, very much in your corporate life, most of you that are in a corporate life, that you have your corporate life and you're looking at the fiscal year, it is from, let's just say it's a calendar year, which is the 1st of January until the 31st of December. That's how you measure your life. That's how your companies measure their lives. It's the year after year, regardless if they have a 5-year strategic plan, they look at year after year, right? And I started recognizing that really wealthy people do the same. So if I looked at this particular opportunity, it was a real estate opportunity, and that real estate opportunity had a preferred return of 6%. So I knew that as a high paid professional, what I could expect that $200,000 to do in the first year was to produce a maximum of $12,000, which is $200,000 times 6%, which is $12,000 at the most. I knew that I was going to be able to also get some tax benefits, but the tax benefits were actually in a different type of bucket. I used to think it was going to help me drive down my taxes, but what I found out many years later, and maybe we'll do another episode on that, is that if you're a high paid professional, you're a busy professional, and your spouse is a busy professional, then that money stays in a specific bucket for passive income. So let's go back to the concept. In this example, a fictional example, I'm using $200,000 times 6%. In that 1 year period between January 1st and December 31st, I could expect to get $12,000 max on the preferred return. And after speaking to a number of people and recognizing that there was an absolute obsession by my friends who were very wealthy over this like interesting 3-letter word that I was not really aware of because I didn't grow up that way, but it was tax. And they were obsessed on it and continue to be obsessed about tax or taxes. If you want to say a 5-letter word, that's fine. And so they took me through the example and said, hey, listen, yeah, I understand you're looking for the yield, but also the way that you can start to think about things as well. That's great for that type of investment. But also if you have an investment where you are able to keep more of your money, not just make more money. And I thought, well, keep more of your money. What do you mean? And so they walked me through it and said, hey, listen, if you're able to find an opportunity, which is an investment opportunity, which would allow you to take that same $200,000. Let's imagine that you are at a state and federal tax bracket, which is 40% combined. And it's a progressive. And just to make things simple, we're just going to say it's 40%. But you take that same $200,000 and you invest $200,000 and you are able to take that, have a deduction of 100% of your investment, and that 100% of your investment times the 40% tax bracket that you're in, that gives you an approximately $80,000 tax deduction. And I thought, yeah, but what difference does it make? I said, well, it's a tax deduction. So it means either if you've already overpaid it, then you get some of that money back. And if you haven't paid it, then you get to keep it. And I thought, can you repeat that again? I said, well, yeah. So if you've already paid it, it's money that you would get back. Or if you haven't paid it, it's money that you get to keep. Either way, the money's coming back to you. And I thought, wow, no one has ever talked to me about that this way. And so I guess the reason that I want to share that with you is I was never taught this. Once it was brought to my attention, I started realizing, wow, wait a minute. So does that mean that I shouldn't invest in real estate? And I said, no. Continue to invest in real estate because it's extremely efficient. Does that mean I shouldn't invest in the stock market? No. If that's working for you well, then continue to do that. The question is, how can you also look at one of the largest expenses that you're ever going to have in your life, which is your income tax? And just in the same way that the big companies look from January 1st to December 31st, extremely wealthy people are always looking for January 1st to December 31st. Why? Because that's when the new tax code is updated or the new credits are coming out or whatever the new initiative that the government wants you to be able to do. They're looking at it from January 1st to December 31st, typically, right? And so it was such a mind-altering experience, that conversation, that I was like, oh my gosh, hang on a second. And so then I started understanding that it's not about any one particular vehicle. It is, what is the destination that you're going to, and what are the different vehicles that you can use so that when you're pointed in the right direction, you're ready to go, you're ready to run down that lane, and you're not going to run your head into the wall multiple times. But it takes the same base of getting educated, having the accountability partners and access, and then being able to take action. And so I thought that this simple example of using the $200,000 to say, hey, listen, if I'm going to place it in something that is going to yield $12,000 or $80,000, depending on how you look at it, right? Where do you want to place your energy, your time, and your capital? And so I use that only as an example, once again, to say what I understood is the wealthy people were thinking about things in a very, very different way than I was. I had not been exposed to that type of thinking before. And so I thought it would be useful to share that with you. And also, if you are someone who is a busy, high-paid professional that's never thought about this before, we've actually come up with a very simple guide that really helps you and walks you through this in a couple of pages. If you're interested in understanding how you can not just create consistent returns, but also be able to keep some of your money as a potential strategy for your life, that when you're looking from January 1st to December 31st, all you need to do is go to firstgencp.com/going long. Got a nice little, like, very simple guide that will walk you through it with a very specific example. And once again, as an accredited investor, if you are an accredited investor, busy, high-paid professional that's interested in knowing more about this, how you can combine different vehicles to get you to your destination, just go to firstgencp.com/going long, and we'll get that out to you. And by the way, don't forget, if you're enjoying these conversations, let me know about it. You can send me an honest written review as well as a rating. Just leave it there. I'd really like to know what your thoughts are on these concepts, on this new kind of format, which is one of the things you'd ask for. And also get your name in front of people in 30 different countries and tens of thousands of downloads. So we'd love to do that. And once again, while you're working on that and thinking about this concept and downloading the new guide, I'll be here preparing the next conversation. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Trust that you enjoyed today's conversation. And once again, today's conversation was sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and want to find out more about how we're helping accredited investors to gain their personal freedom even faster, go to firstgencp.com/going long.